Well, Wednesday has brought a mixture of sunshine and cloud cover to the high desert, and the next several days bring even more warming, more sunshine, and then a chance of some isolated thunderstorms. So we are about to do a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. Look at the changes that have already happened, what comes next, and how our next system is really going to impact us across Central Oregon. Hey everyone, I am Darrell Winninger, the Chief Meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News, and today we've had that mixture of sunshine and cloud cover, and really this cloud cover has been filtering our sunshine. Now it is still unseasonably warm, but because of a weak system last night and today, what brought this cloud cover, we'd slow down in our warming trend, not quite a dip in temperatures. We'll talk about that and much more here through the next several minutes, but we're going to start off with these cameras you see on your screen. We have a mixture of sunshine and clouds, but there's no precipitation in sight. Now, going forward through the next several days, that is going to be changing. Warming takes shape as we go through the next couple of days. We warm through the 70s and well into the 80s. We keep low rain chances, but look at this forecast model that you see below that yellow banner. It goes until Saturday at 10 p.m. and there is a chance of a few isolated thunderstorms through parts of Central Oregon, most of that activity happening over South Central Oregon and the eastern third of the state, but a few stray thunderstorms could work their way into the high desert, or really, I should say showers. Now, any showers that develop on Saturday specifically, we're going to be tracking for the potential of thunderstorm development because it's going to be unseasonably warm. We're going from the 70s to the 80s. Then, by Monday and Tuesday, so starting on Memorial Day, low rain chances are expected and temperatures drop big time. We're going from the 80s to the 60s within about 48 hours, getting that big drop in temperature. So when we look across the high desert right now, different cameras, these are the ODOT cams, we do see a lot of shadows on the ground. Even though there's cloud cover, that's indicative of that sun shining through the clouds, or the cloud cover filtering our sunshine, if you will. Even in the highest elevations, we don't see much at all in the way of precipitation chances with these clouds. So we have dry roads from the lower elevations all the way through the Cascades. And our satellite and radar does show some of that cloud cover rolling through the high desert, just no precipitation in sight. Even when we look at the bigger picture, the closest precipitation is over the panhandle of Idaho and Montana. Outside of that, we are very dry, and we're staying very dry. So at a glance, Thursday brings more sunshine, and some in and out clouds are going to be possible, but they're few and far between and not bringing any precipitation at all. Here's why. We have a broad ridge of high pressure that's amplifying just to our west over the Pacific Ocean. And along the outside, the periphery of that high pressure, we have some clouds coming and going from the north to the south. When we look at the bigger picture, we get a better idea of how strong that high pressure is that's out over the Pacific Ocean. Now, this high is going to take its time, but gradually it's working its way to the east. And by Saturday, this high is going to be centered over the Four Corners region of the U.S. And because it's to our east, the winds shift and we get a moisture influx coming in from the Pacific Ocean, and that prompts that next chance, that potential of some thunderstorms by Saturday. We're going to get into that. We're going to have forecast models and all of the above, but as of right now, even our water vapor imagery shows clouds working their way from north to south and winds that have been a little breezy, and we understand that the winds are breezy because of those isobars, those solid white lines. Those are constant lines of pressure, or lines of equal pressure, and when you have them tightly stacked up to each other like they are west of the Cascades and through Central Oregon, that's when you have stronger winds. And that only really started to crank up here through the last several hours. So really, breezy afternoons are expected to continue. Now, your forecast model, this is the high-resolution one, does not show any precipitation, but what it does show is clouds thinning out overnight. And then by Thursday, more sunshine than cloud cover. Winds during the afternoon become breezy. And then Friday, we double down on that. Tons of sunshine expected, some PM clouds, and afternoon winds becoming breezy at times. So not even as strong as what we're looking at through the day tomorrow, which will be a dip in the wind speeds from what we've had today. Now, when it comes to relative humidity, it is dry. These are all in percentages, and moderate air quality is 30 to 60%. As of right now, we're just dry, not critically dry across the high desert, but as far as fire danger is concerned, but it's a dry air mass sitting over the Pacific Northwest. And in the last 24 hours, temperatures topped out in the 70s with a few 60s on the map. Some of those 60s and a few of our higher elevations in a couple spots struggled to get out of the 60s and into the 70s, but for the most part, temperatures were close to that forecast high, shy by a couple of degrees here and there. But as we go forward through the next couple of days, that warming trend retakes shape and continues through this rest of this week and into this weekend. So as of right now, the temperature change in the last 24 hours, we're running between 1 degree cooler and 5 degrees warmer than it was this time yesterday. By tonight, it gets cool. We're looking at 40s and some 30s. By tomorrow, on Thursday, we're topping out in the 70s with a few 80s out there. And our UV intensity forecast is very high, not just for Thursday, but for Friday and Saturday as well. By Sunday, and even on Monday, if we take that a day further, it dips down, high to moderate, and that's because of our next system rolling into the Pacific Northwest. Doesn't bring too much in the way of rain chances, but it does bring more cloud cover, brings cooler days, and because of the cloud cover, it drops down that UV intensity forecast. But let's talk about what happens before that next system gets here. Then we'll talk a little bit more about that next system. Sorry, a little bit of hay fever, allergies acting up. But as we go forward through the next several days, actually this forecast model focuses on surface temperature, and I have streamlines in there to help you understand winds. Okay, so high pressure is still going to be the dominant feature driving our weather pattern through the rest of this week and into this weekend. But that high pressure amplifies right along the coastline, and as it stretches to the north into BC, we actually have very little in the way of cloud cover. Highs in the 80s with a few 70s possible Thursday. And then by Friday, actually that should say highs in the 70s with a few 80s Thursday. Sorry, I will correct that for the show. Then Friday, we have highs in the 80s with a few 70s. That's where we start to see most of the 80s across Central Oregon. Now by Saturday, we are looking at 80s once again, but that high pressure at this point has shifted further over the Four Corners region and southwestern U.S. At this time, we follow the anticyclonic flow of that high pressure, winds going clockwise, and there is a plume of moisture that's going to develop from the Pacific Ocean right into the Pacific Northwest. This isentropic lift is what gives us what we need for the potential of some isolated thunderstorms, mostly over south central and eastern Oregon, but if you could stray into the Tri-County area. So between now and Saturday at 11 p.m., some of those isolated thunderstorms are going to be possible. Most of it happens well to the east of the 97 corridor. And if this shapes up any differently, it's going to miss us completely. But if it shapes up just right, we could have some of those thunderstorms working their way through Central Oregon. But at this point, it's going to be few and far between. Then we have that chance. Actually, let me go ahead and pull the correct one in here. Wow, that's two graphics that I messed up. Oh, no. Okay, so here we go. So by the time we get to Saturday, we have the peak of our heating trend, and some isolated thunderstorms are going to be possible. Then by Monday, really Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, Sunday night through Monday and into Tuesday, we have a chance of some showers. That next system is what triggers our next big drop in temperature. So let's look at a forecast model. This is one of the models I typically use on air every night. And it does show that cold front working its way to the southeast. And in lieu of that cold front, we do have clearing tonight, but no precipitation in sight. By Thursday, more sunshine than clouds. By Friday, more sunshine than clouds. Thursday brings 70s with a few 80s. By Friday, 80s with a few 70s. And then by Saturday, fast forward to the afternoon, that's when we have a chance of a few isolated thunderstorms. They will be few and far between, but winds will even become gusty around that thunderstorm activity. And any showers that develop, we're going to be tracking for the potential of thunderstorm activity as well. Now, when we look at the GFS, the long-range forecast model, it's not as high of resolution, but it does show, in fact, that more sunshine than cloud cover is expected through the next several days. Now, this specific model, the GFS specifically, does not show any thunderstorm or shower activity on Saturday or Sunday. So that's a little bit of discrepancy between a couple of the forecast models, where some of the high-resolution ones show that potential of thunderstorm activity Saturday. If it happens, it'll be convective thunderstorms, so popping up because of that heating and the shift in moisture content. By Monday and Tuesday, that's when we're looking at a low chance of a few showers. Some of us, most of us don't even get wet, only some of us. And then by Tuesday and Wednesday, more sunshine than cloud cover. So let's talk about totals. Between now and Saturday at 11 p.m., A few isolated thunderstorms, few and far between. I can't stress that enough. And then fast forward to Tuesday at 5 p.m., a few more showers are going to be possible. So even by the time it's all said and done, most of us don't even get wet. Some of us catch a few sprinkles. A few showers are really going to be, you could say significant, but either way, it's just, we're staying unbelievably dry. Now, wind gusts here in the last 15 minutes, mostly between 15 and 20 miles per hour. Actual wind speeds are more like 5 to 15 miles per hour. And breezy at times is what the theme is going to be through the next couple of days. Winds starting off, gentle breezing out of the south, swinging around to the north and northwest each day. And by the afternoon, getting into the evening, that's when wind speeds start to pick up. So for tonight, expect 40s with a few 30s. By Thursday, we're looking at 70s with a few 80s, and then into the 80s with a few 70s Friday. Saturday brings that very low chance for a few isolated storms, mostly over south central and eastern Oregon. And then by Sunday and Monday, we start to get that next shift in our weather pattern. Sunday, still warm, but more clouds and stronger winds. By Monday, on Memorial Day, that's when we get the first big dip in temperatures. But we're going from the lower to mid 80s into the lower 60s between Sunday and Tuesday. And by next Wednesday, this time next week, temperatures start to rebound. So when it comes to your weather headlines for this Wednesday, May 20th, we are looking at high pressure across the high desert. It's going to be very dry, and we warm right into this weekend through the 70s and into the 80s. Now, some clouds and PM breezes are expected, but as of right now, we have some clouds over the region. There's just no precipitation in sight, and it's been like that way through most of the day. That is the latest in weather. Join us tonight. It's on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. See you then.